Alright guys, so gonna talk to you a little bit about the 2018 Ram 2500 rough country bumper install. Um, the instructions are not that clear. The instructions that they give you, the pictures are not colorful. You can go to Rough Country online and look at it, and you can see that they left out a lot of details. The steps that I did, sort of made it a little bit simpler for myself. But I'll go ahead and show you some things on it. First thing I did was, mind you, I am mechanically inclined. But just some tips and tricks, man. So first thing I did was I removed the grill. So when you remove the grill, you're going to end up having this shield pop off your clips. There's four. There's one here, one here, one here, one here. I left those two. I really only popped off the front two and this third one so I could just sling it over. All right, so whenever you do your grill, you got a bolt here, you got a bolt here, here, and here. They're 10 millimeters. And then it pops in right here, just pops out. So once you take the top one's loose, just pop the grill out a little bit and it'll come off. The reason why I took the grill off is because one of your bumper bolts is right here and they are right here. And as you see back down in here, there's not a lot of room to work with. So it just made it a whole lot easier if you're talking about another 5 minutes. Do that. One thing it doesn't tell you, disconnect, you're gonna have a 10 millimeter bolt over in here that helps hold this in on each side. You take it off. You do have your wiring harness, not only for your fog lights but for your front sensors if equipped. Unplug both of your lights out completely. After you do that, take those four bolts off. They're 18 millimeters. There's two on the top, two on the bottom. A lot of times you can get them with just a wrench. Take those out. After that, take these off for your tow hooks. They are 18 millimeters. There's a bolt and there is a nut on the back side. There's four, as you can see. That way you can, if you have electric impact like I do, you just hit this with electric impact and hold the wrench on. Sometimes you have to do that. If you go ahead and loosen them up, push down on the tow hook a little bit, hit it with the electric impact, the nut will come off. There again, just another little bit of a trick. So when you put these brackets on, it doesn't necessarily show you which side is what. You have to basically determine the pictures. As you can see, I had a light bar in between my tow hooks. I had to move my truck today, so I just zip tied it up just to get by. But you put it in there, leave them a little loose. That way, when it comes time for bumper fitment, you're good to go. Now, it tells you to remove your stock sensors, your proximity sensors off the sides. It comes with these little bitty nuts. These hex head screws go in the bottom of them. So put them in first, slide that in all the way through. The thing that I didn't like compared to the factory bumper is it does stick out a little bit. That's the only way it can go in. There's not a ring around it like the factory bumper. Something I didn't really like, but it's not a game changer. So just install all your proximity sensors. I laid mine out the same way that they came out of the truck, all the way across. Then that way, whenever I go to put the wiring harness in, there's a little room. One thing I did find with this is if you look at their instructional diagram versus what actually is, you'll notice that my harness doesn't go all the way down there. It's stretched pretty thin. One thing that I would recommend if I was the manufacturer doing would be maybe taking somewhere in here and drilling a hole so you can run it through and come back. That way you can get a little bit more slack, because no matter which way you adjust these sensors, you're still not going to have enough slack. I actually spun this one because it was facing inside just so I could get the slack out of it. They're pretty much all pointed the same way except for that one, as you can see. Now when it comes time for the fog light installs, not a lot of instructions with that either, man. Just have to be a little bit mechanically inclined. You put your brackets on that are inside of here first. It's got two hex screws. Put them on, tighten them up, feed it in, put your nut in or your screw in, then put your nut on top. It makes it a whole lot simpler. Just make sure you put locking nuts there, or lock washers I should say, and you're good. Pretty straightforward right there, but still a little bit tedious. The little screws, if yours were like mine, the threads weren't cut all the way. I had some messed up threads. Luckily I have some taps, so I did re-tap all of them, because I guess when they paint it and put this rough coat exterior on it, some of it gets in the threads. One thing it does tell you is whenever you go through your light bar assembly, it tells you to use the brackets that come with it. The brackets did actually come with the light bar, or like so, right? They've got a really cool rubber washer. These brackets right here are just made to, if you want to put it on the top of the bumper or what have you. Pardon the trash can, I just got it tilted up. I don't want to scratch it up. But I put those on there, and the light bar, you could only see one row of lights. You couldn't see both sets. The kit for the bumper did come with these really cool brackets right here. You can't see in the pictures clearly in color, or in the instructions that they give you that are black and white. So what I did was, it didn't even say to use those, but it's brackets that aren't included in the instructions, so I put those brackets in here. And it tells you to use these bolts. Don't know why, they're a little bit too long, but I put them in there. I did space them with a lock washer too. Since I did that, the light bar sits the way it's supposed to. Everything now is just pretty much a plug and play. It does come with adapters for another harness to run back. Luckily my truck has factory auxiliary switches, so I already have the harness for all that, so I'll run my fog lights probably back into the auxiliary switches. Gonna say I'm gonna miss having my fog lights on going down the road at night, but it is what it is. Also, your light bar does come with a harness too, so my fog lights will be tied into auxiliary 1, and then my light bar will be run into auxiliary 2. But just there's not a lot of videos on how to install this thing online. I seen rear bumpers all day, but I didn't really see fronts. So this will just give you a little bit of an idea of what you're going to face when it comes to actually putting this thing together. Like I said, I'm mechanically inclined, and when I had to go through and re-tap holes because the coating was inside the threads and the bolts wouldn't start, and pretty much just taking the own stuff for my own interpretation on how to put it together, that's where I'm at. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out. Thanks.